Hello and welcome to my presentation on enhancing middle school positive behavior initiatives, an action plan for change. This is by Matthew Kipling in the Department of Education at Northern Kentucky University. This is for class EDA 709 in spring 2024 under the supervision of Dr. Kathy Burkhart. Here's the agenda and each of the different pieces that I will be going over. So we'll start with the introduction, go to positive behavior intervention initiatives, a committee overview, data analysis, visual representations of data, explanations of visual representations, areas of strength and concern, addressing areas of concern, a literature review on PBIS versus zero tolerance policies, integrating PBIS and zero tolerance policies, an action plan for PBIS enhancement, required resources, a reflection and principles feedback, the evaluation of impact, student interview responses, themes and meta themes, student surveys, critical analysis of the leadership, and then conclusion and recommendations. Let's go ahead and get started with the introduction. In this presentation, I will discuss strategies for enhancing positive behavior initiatives in middle school. The idea is to address student behavior and help create a more conducive learning environment so that students can develop. The PBIS committee is dedicated to promoting positive behavior interventions, and this plays a key role in implementing effective strategies. Positive behavior intervention initiatives. So, a little bit of an overview of PBIS. So, positive behavior intervention initiatives, PBIS focuses on proactive strategies to establish a positive school climate and prevent behavioral issues. This is all to get students intrinsically motivated to complete and behave while they're in school and complete work. The impact on reducing disruptive behavior, PBIS has shown to significantly decrease disruptive behavior incidents by promoting positive behaviors and providing support in the form of different strategies that students may need in order to cope with certain scenarios. And finally, the role of teacher training. If teachers are not trained in PBIS properly and how to implement, it's not going to be successful. Here's the committee overview. So the name of the committee is the Positive Behavior Intervention and Support, PBIS Committee. The purpose is to promote positive behavior and create a supportive school environment. Membership were comprised of teachers, administrators, counselors, and support staff. And then the guiding principles of PBIS are to emphasize prevention, teaching behavioral expectations, and recognizing positive behaviors. This is the PBIS referral data analysis with three main points. So the report aims to analyze the referral data within the PBIS framework and identify trends and patterns. So as a committee, we met in order to make this happen. I used technology for data presentation, and that ensures clear visualization and accessibility for stakeholders. And then some key components for analysis include behavior referral types, frequency, student demographics, and comparison with previous data. So let's go ahead and break this down. Here's the visual representation of data. Figure 1 is a bar graph illustrating the decrease in the number of referrals in the school year 2022 and 2023. 58 referrals compared to the school year 23-24 with 44 referrals. And please note that this is specifically focused on sixth grade behavior incidents. The second is a bar graph depicting the decrease in the number of students being referred from one school year to the next. Here in figure 3, you've got another bar graph representing the decrease in the number of attendance referrals from both school years. Ultimately, the visual data is going to illustrate a positive trend in reducing behavior issues in the fact that student referrals and attendance concerns have decreased, and that is going to demonstrate the effectiveness of the implemented strategies in sixth grade regarding PBIS. So here's an explanation of the visuals. So A decrease in behavior referrals is what figure 1 shows. The impact of new strategies within the 6th grade is what figure 2, the bar graph, shows. And then there is a link between attendance referrals and then student attendance as well, shown in figure 3. So, when we got together and we started looking at all of the data, we noticed some areas of strength and then areas of concern. So, areas of strength, there is a significant decrease in behavior referrals over the past semester, and then positive feedback from teachers on the effectiveness of new behavior management strategies. So, here we noticed that in implementing certain strategies and helping students to understand how to be intrinsically motivated, um, that teachers were seeing positive effects of that. Some of the areas of concerns are inconsistent implementation of PBIS strategies across different grade levels, meaning both 7th and 8th grade are not implementing in the same fashion these different supports that 6th grade is implementing. Also, there's a need for additional training for staff to fully integrate PBIS principles into daily practices. This, in turn, goes back to the necessary training for preparation for teachers in order to be successful in implementing PBIS. In order to address these areas of concern, I conducted student interviews with student leaders in each family. In 6th grade, there are 3 families, 3 different colors, and I did this in order to gather general feedback regarding behaviors, what these student leaders are noticing within their family. Are they the same kid that's having the same issue? Um, are there interventions that have been put in place by specific teachers and not others? Things along those lines. And then I analyzed the climate report data from a student survey to gather student feedback on the general feelings towards school. So, do students like coming to school? Are they interested in coming to school? If so, why? If not, also why? A literature review on PBIS versus zero tolerance. So, there's two kind of different thoughts when it comes to behaviors and behavior management at school. Currently, you've got PBIS, which focuses on proactive strategies to prevent unwanted behavior, and it emphasizes teaching and reinforcing positive behaviors rather than solely punishing negative behaviors. On the other hand, you have zero tolerance policies, and these often enforce strict consequences for specific behaviors. And this type of policy is often criticized for disproportionately affecting marginalized students and not addressing root causes, meaning that there are students who may not necessarily fit under one area, but because this is an umbrella approach, meaning it's all encompassing, all or nothing, those students would be punished for a consequence or have a consequence that is not as um, appropriate. So, integrating these strategies, if we integrate PBIS, we're going to emphasize proactive interventions to prevent those behavioral issues. Again, a key word here is prevent. Zero tolerance policies focus on strict consequences for specific behaviors, but if we combine both approaches, that is going to lead to a balanced system that addresses behavior effectively. An action plan for PBIS. So, steps for enhancing PBIS initiatives, conducting a comprehensive analysis of the reasons for the decrease in behavior. That was step 1 of the action plan. Step 2 was to administer a survey for all students to gather feedback on their feelings toward the school environment. The third step is conducting interviews with student leaders at each grade level to understand the general feeling regarding attending school. And then lastly, we've got, based on survey and interview findings, formulate strategies to address any identified concerns and reinforce positive behaviors. In order for us to engage stakeholders, we want to involve students and parents, community members within the PBIS enhancement process. And this will allow us to have different perspectives and diverse perspectives on how to implement or what needs to happen in order for these interventions to be set in place. Also, we should seek input from school counselors as they are some of the behavioral gurus, if you will, and behavior specialists to tailor interventions to individual student needs. So that's going to be meeting with a professional learning community, usually the team of teachers that teaches a specific student, as well as um, the grade level administrator, the grade level counselor, and sometimes that does include parents as well. Required resources. So, in order for us to implement this whole PBIS uh, strategies within the school, we're going to need an allocation of budget for training, for the programs, and different technology upgrades. We will need recruitment of additional staff for PBIS implementation and monitoring. So, we want to include more stakeholders, procurement of educational materials and resources. So, things like rewards that are going to help students learn how to be extrinsically motivated to then become intrinsically motivated. And then training sessions for teachers and staff on PBIS principles and the implementation. Based off of the student interview responses, there were themes and meta themes that were collected. On top here, you have the meta themes. So these are the all encompassing themes based off of what the student interviews had. And then here are themes, common themes that are seen throughout that fit within these meta themes. So things like, or words that were said like epic, journey, treasure hunt, roller coaster. Subjects as exciting challenges. Things are like puzzles, playgrounds, magic tricks, adventures, collaboration and teamwork, superhero missions, soccer matches, detective work, time management and balancing act, superhero powers, magic spells, ninja skills. So all of these meta themes here were the all encompassing of how students responded when they were asked, their general feelings toward coming to school. Here is the climate report data. So this is a student survey that's given, and this was given at the end of the 2022-2023 school year. These are specific questions regarding the climate, meaning students' perception of school. Over here, you've got different categories: strongly disagree, disagree, agree, strongly agree, and agree/strongly agree combined with the index score. Now, the index score is going to um, be a number that is going to be less than what is under the agree, strongly agree, and that's combined because you're given certain amount of points for specific answers. Two areas that seemed concerning were the consequences for breaking school rules being fair, and then also that the school rules are fair. So here we've got to take that into account and realize that, students are saying that they feel that school rules aren't fair and then that the consequences for breaking these rules are not fair. So maybe this is that zero tolerance side coming out where we're not going to tolerate specific behaviors or implement specific strategies to prevent these behaviors from happening. Throughout the process, I worked very closely with my principal. So, Principal Patrick Ryan provided positive feedback on the effectiveness of PBIS initiatives in improving student behavior and school climate. The reflection on the action plan highlighted the successful implementation of strategies and the measurable impact on behavior referrals. And then Mr. Ryan was able to give me specific feedback that emphasized the importance of continued support for PBIS in order to continue this growth and see a decrease in specific behaviors that we're seeing with our students. Ultimately, this will all encompassing enhance student well being. Evaluation of the impact. So, you've got your PBIS referral data analysis. This was a piece of evidence that was used, and this examined trends and behavior referrals to assess impact of PBIS initiatives on student behavior outcomes. You have the student interview responses, which were qualitative feedback from students to help understand their perceptions of the effectiveness of PBIS strategies. So trying to help them understand, that if you do this, then this is the consequence. Or if you aren't performing at the level that you need to be performing regarding behavior, then we're going to implement some strategies to help you so that you are more successful. And then here with the survey responses on school climate, this survey data was analyzed in order to evaluate the impact of PBIS on creating a positive and supportive school environment. So this kind of gives us an idea of where we are, and then if we have grown in those specific areas. The critical analysis of leadership. So, leadership roles and evaluation. That's going to be the assessment of leadership effectiveness in implementing PBIS strategies and fostering a positive school climate. Data utilization assessment. This is the review of how data is collected and analyzed to make sure that what data we are collecting is actually aligned with what we're trying to determine. And then support for a diverse curriculum. This is going to be exploring the role of diverse curriculum in promoting inclusivity and addressing behavioral challenges within the school environment. And so this ultimately is going to lead toward a more positive school environment and a school experience at the middle school level for students. Conclusion and recommendations. The positive impact of PBIS initiatives on behavior referrals and school climate. So, in implementing certain specific PBIS initiatives, we are seeing less behavior referrals and an increase in student thought on school, how students are perceiving school, more positive. An action plan, steps implemented successfully to address behavior concerns. So that the steps in the action plan were implemented, and this helped us to determine where the disconnect was, and that is in school rules and consequences for breaking those rules. Recommendations for continuous improvement include ongoing teacher training and PBIS strategies. So that's continuing to develop and um, really just invest in our teachers to help in implementing these different initiatives. And then a suggestion is to incorporate student feedback mechanisms for better program effectiveness. So in surveys, in interviews, things along those lines, we are going to be able to better get a view of how students are perceiving different things that are implemented within the building, especially regarding behavior. Thank you so much for watching.